I would do my meditation. I guess if we've got time, I could probably remember it because I did it for so long, some of it. It goes like, this is called meditation number 1. I alone am. Dear friend, do you really want to come speedily and eternally into your own, that which you came here into manifestation to express? Then meditate earnestly and persistently, day after day, on the below. 10 minutes or more on the first part until you realize its truth. In the one mind, there is the consciousness only of wholeness, completion, and perfection. In it, there are no ideas of lack or limitation of supply of any kind. To every center of that mind, and every human mind is such a center, there flows naturally every needed idea. Even as air rushes into a vacuum, or as the blood carries to every cell of the body everything needed for their growth and sustenance. Remember that one mind is in you, is your mind, as there is only one mind. Also remember, by your realization of this great truth, and by making it the dominant fact in your consciousness, are you and your Father truly one. Anyway, that's part of the meditation, because they would take 20 minutes. I just kept going on, but you get the idea. That's what that was important to me in my life, to go through this these words as whatever I was doing. If I was splitting rails or posts, or out hunting for gold, or hunting for mushrooms, or whatever my life was at the time, I was still doing this meditation every day. It was an important thing to me. So I was going through things like that. And there was some other words, like the main words were, in what kind of gave me no fear about working inside the earth in the rock on veins or something, is be still and know I am God. And I would be saying that to myself, not like thinking that I was the only thing that was God, but I mean that was just words that seemed to have a big importance too. But anyway, going through that stuff, and then eventually getting together with the gal I spent 15 years with, and that had had those books after she passed away, that I started reading the Paul Twitchels. And then this young lady that was into this Lord Sioux guy here in Grants Pass, Oregon. So I was checking on and I wasn't familiar with the computers or the smartphones, or I didn't have one. I just would have a regular flip phone or whatever, just to make phone calls. But anyway, a friend had loaned me a tablet because he got it for free. And he had his smartphone or something, and and I was looking at it, and about this guy. I was trying to check up and see what was up with this guy that she was calling Lord Sioux, that had been in this Eckankar Corporation for 30 years. And that's when I noticed, I think it was called something about Eckankar, and I think that Kelsey Brown or something had put it on the thing I was looking at on the tablet. But I read it. I had read a little about the Lord Sioux, and thought, boy, he's a strange character. But I read what Kelsey had put on this tablet, and it made a lot of sense to me, I guess you'd say. It was it seemed like it was something that I related to, that was important to me. So then I ended up getting to get a hold of Kelsey, and there was some books, PDF books that were available to get on, so that I could read some things about this new presentation. And so I got to get the PDF new books, and it all made sense to me, and seems like I'm very thankful that it's in my life, that this new you song is being given to connect with real guidance and a real education about what life's all about real universes, and at the present, that's my real purpose. I see it from my lifestyle and what I've been through, is that I see it still as seeking at the present for me the information, but also the attempts to earn my way through, maybe continuing to try to find gold or precious stones or something for these projects for all mankind at this present time, to help with the creating physically the all solar research vessels and whatever communities or things that would benefit all, that seem to be what's important to me at the time. And I'm very thankful for these books, and to get to have Skype things that I can hear what's being said. And so that's my thoughts about the new presentation, and kind of how life led me through this particular lifetime to be involved with it.
It's wonderful, Tim. You have quite a life there, quite a bio there. It could be a movie, and I'm glad I was able to partner up with you and do some prospecting in Alaska. That was fun. The person that you mentioned, Kelsey, who introduced you to the new presentation, she's here. She's actually online.
Yeah.
So, she may have a question or comment. Are you there, Kelsey?
Yeah, sure. I left out a lot of embarrassing things, but it's just a little idea.
That's okay. Yeah, we have bedtime stories, PG here, rated, yes.
Hi,
there, Kelsey. Hi, Kelsey.
Yeah, hi.
Oh, this is fun. We just called in, so we heard the tail end of the story there. It sounded like Jesus was in the building, Jesus, with the I am meditation. I just was reading today on wonderfulworldwideeducators.com under the new articles, this new title Dwayne wrote about meditation or the isness. So that's something that fun people can go check out and decide something new from there. And I'm actually here with Henry Draper as well. We went to the Conscious Life Expo, which was pretty cool. But Tim is the prospector. What's Henry gonna ask Tim?
What am I gonna ask Tim? Okay. Tim, it's fun to listen to your stories. It's cool, and Tim has his own radio show that our listeners might not know about called Tell It Like It Is with Tim. And Tim just shares his views that he's like seeing, every week. He's very aware of what's going on the planet, and it's pretty cool to hear that, your view and what you've been through to get to, where you are now, Tim. But I was wondering if you could tell us, like you said, when you first heard about the new you saw that it made sense, but could you explain a bit, could you elaborate on that a little bit? Like, why did it make sense?
Well, it was like the experiences I was involved with in the Eckankar Corporation because of the books I'd read of Paul Twitchel. And so I thought, well, here's this new, what's called a master in Eckankar, Harold Klemp, and I didn't know much about Darwin Gross. From what I had been reading, there wasn't much, but there was things going on in these get-togethers in the Eckankar Corporation stuff that didn't quite seem the same as what I was gathering from the information Paul was presenting. But I was very interested in Harold's books, and I bought lots of them and paid attention to them and enjoyed them, I guess you'd say. And there was beautiful artwork too. I don't know if it was some of Ava's when she was in the corporation or what, posters, and I'd buy them and have them all over, hung up as beautiful pictures in the house on the walls. But the information started making sense to me because it was, I think it was called The Truth About Eckankar or something like that is what I was first paying attention to on that tablet that Kelsey presented. And it talked about Darwin and Harold and things that Dwayne was saying from this real side, that it seemed like, from what I heard a little bit about all this stuff, was making sense that it doesn't sound right about this. Even what I'd read about how Harold how he wrote about his experience of being given the rod of power or becoming the master of that corporation or whatever you want to call it. Because Paul's writings, I was, I think, more connected to or enjoyed or like knowing what he was saying more. And then I was wondering about things like Harold and he got a new wife or something, and I got all kinds of cassettes too, all kinds from Paul's times, and Harold's, all kinds of them. I inherited them because they closed the X Center that they had in this Grants Pass area instead of renting the building for, because it wasn't growing or whatever. I somehow ended up with all these cassettes, and so I listened to all of them. But then when I was hearing about this stuff about Darwin Gross, and then it sounded strange to me, things like all of a sudden Paul's wife was married to Darwin, and it just, I was wondering what's going on. And then in this corporation, they were starting to have all these can and cannot stuff you can't do this and you can't do that. You got to do this, and all kinds of stuff like this, and these worship service things, and how people were acting, and one of these things that they had called a RISA, I forget what it represents, a regional spiritual aid or something. Anyway, there was something about even her appearance when I first met her at one of these big get-togethers. She wore all black, and Paul had wrote things about how black wasn't a good color to wear or like that. But it wasn't just the black dress that she wore. It was her actions and appearance. And I thought, boy, this is kind of a strange person that acts like they're something special, or you have to do what she says. She's telling everybody to do these things, and so the information that I was getting, because I was interested in this truth about Eckankar stuff I was seeing, started making a lot of sense about what I was hearing about from what Dwayne was having his real side experiences and seeing what was really going on about Darwin and how Harold and Darwin were just given opportunities but never had what Paul called the rod of power, and the deals they'd made, and how Darwin went off on his own stuff, and or whatever you want to call it, got kicked out by the real guides, or else he was going to have to deal with some bad experiences in whatever realm, astral realm, or things like that. So the more that I got to pay attention to what Dwayne had wrote in these PDFs and books, the more I wanted to pay attention to what was being said. And that's what seemed to make so much sense, is what I got to be reading about what Dwayne was telling about